I was born in 1934 in Pinehurst, North Carolina. The only time I wore shoes was when we went to church. I guess my feet were so tough from being barefoot all the time, you know. I helped on the farm too, when my grandma and grandpa had a farm on Fry Hill. They raised corn and sweet potatoes, all kinds of stuff. Somebody told me that the life expectancy of a machine gunner in combat was 3 minutes. And I decided I didn't want to be in the Army. So I joined the Air Force. That was when I was 19. And I volunteered for England. And that's how I ended up at Manston. I met her in Margate. She was Miss North London of 1955. Oh, she was a great dancer, very good. There was dancing at Dreamland then. There was a big ballroom, and we used to dance. I was never a dancer, you know, but she taught me. I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And her dad said, well, if he won't marry you in a Catholic church, then you're not getting married. Shirley said, Dad, I'm 21. And he said, I don't care if you're 31. Shirley and I had 6 children. That's the bunch, the Fry bunch. We were apart for about 15 months. I wrote to her almost every day. It was a lost year of my life. I worked 11 hours. I went to church on Sunday. I did take a lot of pictures. I must have taken 1 million pictures of Amanda. Well, all the kids, really. I had my movie camera and that, and I filmed old Shirley and the kids. It was like a pistol grip. You just aim it and pull the trigger.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government feels obliged to report this new crisis to you in fullest detail.
It was the Cuban Crisis. The Russians were moving by ship ballistic missiles to Cuba, which they could fire from Cuba into the United States and blow up cities.
The presence of these large, long-range, and clearly offensive weapons of sudden mass destruction constitutes an explicit threat to the peace and security of all the Americas.
So President Kennedy gave the Russians an ultimatum. You either stop those ships and turn them around, or we'll blow them out of the water.
This sudden, clandestine decision to station strategic weapons for the first time outside of Soviet soil is a deliberately provocative and unjustified change in the status quo, which cannot be accepted by this country.
All the bases in the United States were on alert.
Now further action is required.
Mine was the first one to take off, and they told me to go get a parachute. I was going.
These actions may only be the beginning.
I wasn't on flying status, but I climbed aboard no problem, and I was away. Well, you don't worry about it. It's not armed. It's armed electronically. I think there was 3 or 5 in the Bombay, something like that.
We will not prematurely or unnecessarily risk the course of worldwide nuclear war?
It was everyday life to see them loading bombs.
But neither will we shrink from that risk at any time it must be faced. The greatest danger of all would be to do nothing.
I knew we weren't going to drop anything. We were just making sure that the Russians didn't get stupid and do something they would regret.
And one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender.
Actually, we had bombers with atomic weapons on them all over the place, you know, all around Russia. The Russians backed down and we went back to normal. Another time, not long after, opened this box to turn the power on, and there was a tarantula in there. Huge thing. Scared me to death. So we came back to England, and we've been here since '83. I was glad to get out. I never missed it a minute. My family was more important than the Air Force.